Here lies Walt Whitman! Ah, damn you, Walt Whitman! I hate you, Walt freaking Whitman! Leave some grass my ass!
Open wide for some content! The best way to follow a Simpsons video is a more obscure Simpsons reference, I guess. Yeah, welcome back. So last video I spent a bunch of time making fun of grass types in Gen 3, so it's only fitting that I am foisted with this poison chalice of having to do a grass type run right after. Literally right after, in the next gen too. So yeah, we're doing grass in Pokemon Platinum. You might be wondering why this video took so long, and there's 3 reasons. Firstly, this is the most difficult challenge I've ever done, dear god. It literally took days of preparing for some of the final big fights. Secondly, I've been busy, I went on holidays, I've, spent time with my family, I've been working, that sort of thing. And third, and most importantly, I've been playing Persona 3 Reload. Speaking of, it's time for today's sponsor! Can you fucking imagine? I'm not sponsored, play Persona 3 Reload, it's good. Last video I spent the whole time making fun of grass types, but it is actually my favourite Pokemon type. Well, just in terms of the designs of the Pokemon and how many good Pokemon are in it, that is. It's definitely not my favourite type in-game because it sucks. Super effective against 3 pretty common types, that's nice, but it's resisted by basically everything and is also weak to everything. But I will say, Gen 4 did go a long way in helping the grass types by giving them some actual attacks. We are no longer relying on 60 base power 5 PP Geiger Drain or the Leaf Blade that one fucking Pokemon knows. No, this generation introduced Energy Ball, Seed Bomb, Power Whip, and increased Leaf Blade's distribution, and I think actually buffed its base power. So that means we should actually have grass-type moves, which I'd be worried about in a previous generation of not actually having any grass-type moves. Hey, Future Keith here. Do not listen to what I just said. I was wrong and a liar and a cheat. The grass move distribution is still doo-doo dog cheeks, whatever that means. You don't get Seed Bomb until after the fucking game. Same with Energy Ball, I think. It's stupid and ridiculous. Just garbage type. Garbage type. Yeah, I've got a lot of deep-seated anger for this run. This was all mostly recorded at this point before I'd done too much. Yeah, hate it, hate life, hate this run. Please help. Send help, I need it. I need it. The other good thing is that Turtwig is a heck of a starter. It becomes Torterra, which is ground type, and it learns Earthquake pretty early, which is really incredible, because grass types, they struggle to hit a lot of types, and ground is a really good secondary stab to have to hit specifically steels and fires, but it also just hits a lot of other types that resist grass neutrally. That's really good stuff. The problem with doing a Gen 4 grass run is that, see, Gen 3 might as well have not had a fucking rival in the first place. We didn't even fight the final evolution of it. Gen 4's got a rival. It's Barry. He is the most annoying little shit in any Pokemon game. But he's also got a really good team, and you have to fight him a lot. That Infernape is gonna be fucking nightmarish, because none of my Pokemon are likely gonna be faster than it. So, that's a problem. We also don't have any Pokemon that are neutral to fire, which is also a problem. So, I genuinely don't know a ton of writing if this is even possible, or if I'm just wasting everyone's time. I'm wasting everyone's time anyway, but actively, attackingly wasting people's time.
Anyway, there's really not that much that happens until we go north to Jubilife City, and we get a buddy that I call Walt Whitman. And, cause I'm, a really good content man, I totally recorded this catching of Budew, but then I'd recorded it, and then someone broke into my room and punched me and then knocked me out, and when I woke up, the bit that I recorded had been deleted, but it was too late for me to go back and do it, and it's oh no. So that's what happened. That guy, he's still at large, so if that ever happens again, I mean, we know who the suspect is. Budyu's nature is naughty. The source is just trust me, bro, but like, why would I lie about naughty? It sucks on Budyu. More attack, less special defense, not good. And we named her Walt Whitman entirely because I wanted to play that Simpsons clip at the start. If you're a true Keith Sheldon fan, that's right, I see all 6 of you there. Yeah, look at you. You'll remember how good Roserade was in the Poison Run for Pokemon White 2, and this is going to be no different at all. Budyu evolves into Roselia very, very early, and in fact, I'm going to make sure it evolves into Roselia by just, walking. Up and down. Up and down and up and down. We want Budyu to become Roselia by level 13, and the best way to do that is just to go up and down, and up and down. And this is so stimulating. It's just fucking exhilarating. It gets the people fucking going. Oh boy. High level gameplay. This is why I play Pokemon, you know? I play Pokemon so I can wake up and just go, oh boy, I gotta move up and down the city a couple of times at the start. Oh boy. But it's worth it. At level 10, we reach the level we need, and oh boy, it's Roselia. Yay. Roselia, very strong Pokemon for this early. It's probably going to carry us through the early game. And I think when we get another member of the team, we can do something very unique and fun with Roselia. So let's just wait for that. Anyway, there's the first rival fight, but it's pretty basic. I actually don't think you can lose against it. So here it is, I guess, but yes, this technically happened before I evolved my Budyu into Roselia, but I completely forgot about it until now. So professional content, man. But then nothing much happens until the first gym leader, Old Mate Rourke. The history of gym leaders with awful pun names is a long and proud one in Pokemon, but Rourke might be the absolute worst. But again, Gen 4 does have some humdingers, like Candice. Yeah, what do you guys think is the worst Pokemon gym leader pun name? Anyway, this gym battle isn't that difficult. We're grass types, Roselia, Walt Whitman OKOs everything, and that's just what happens, which is nice and easy. That's good. That's one of the few easy fights we're gonna have. But there's a lot for us to do before the next gym. Gardenia, again, another terrible pun. Like, were those their actual given names, you know? Like, people just going around calling their sons, like, Blaze Flamesman. I guess I feel bad for them. What else are they supposed to do with names like Rourke and Candice that be gym leaders of the specific types their parents named them after? It's time for another Keith pronunciation spectacular, as I attempt to pronounce the next town we go to. Flora Roma Town? Anyway, that's where we get honey, which is really important because we can slather it on some trees, chase away a couple of bears, and get access to 2 Pokemon. 2 very, very amazing Pokemon. The first is Burmy, which we will evolve into Plant Cloak Wormadam, which is Bug and Grass. Now, all 7 of you magnificent specimens of hardcore Keith fans will remember that the last time I did a Platinum run, we also used Wormadam, when we used the Bug and Steel type. And it sucked there, but it's even worse now, because Bug and Grass is a way worse typing. Its ability Anticipation is useless. It tells us if the Pokemon it's facing has a super effective move against it or not, but I can just look that up. And its nature is Impish. More defense, less special attack. That's fine. It's a bulkier Pokemon, but it does primarily use its special attack, so eh. But we follow up that disappointing Pokemon with an even bigger disappointment. Now I know what my parents must feel like when they talk to me, or look at me, or think about me. Our next Pokemon is Cherubi, which eventually becomes Cherrim. Its nature is serious, and its stats are seriously crap. They're awful. I see a lot of myself in Cherrim because I am also useless. Its ability, Flower Gift, boosts its attack and special defense in the sun, and its stats are so bad it kinda needs it, but that's also where I no longer see myself in Cherrim, because while it gets stronger in the sun, I just get sunburnt and angry. But I need to stop projecting my life disappointments onto mediocre Pokemon for a little bit. Instead, let's talk about Team Galactic's Mars. Not the planet, the lady. She's the next big boss fight. She's pretty difficult for this early in the game, and she's a big fat cheater. She's like Lance, where she needs to be investigated and then arrested by the Pokemon police, because Purugly cannot be at that lower level. She's a big cheater, and I hope she's investigated along with Faulkner for whatever horrible crimes they did to their Pokemon. But she's actually pretty difficult, because she's got Zubat as well as that Purugly, and Zubat's got a really good matchup against this, and Purugly is a strong Pokemon at this point. So what do? I lead Roselia against Zubat and click both Leech Seed and then Stun Spore. So now Zubat is slow, may fail to take action, and is having its health drained onto me. Another Pokemon that I'm seeing a lot of myself in at the moment. So then I switch into Turtwig, then immediately switch back assuming it would Toxic, but it didn't. And because it's not Toxicking, I go back into Turtwig and use the time to set up Curse to boost my attack and defense, and finish off Zubat since it's still paralyzed. Then, due to that, I can click Razor Leaf and I get a crit, and down goes Purugly. It's pretty good. Pretty good. And look at that! Turtwig evolves into Grottle at the end of that fight. It's honestly really fitting and just makes me kinda happy when my Pokemon evolve after a big fight like that. It's nice. Instead of just when I'm like grinding against a random Rattata. As I go through Eterna Forest with the goat Cheryl, our Burmy evolves into Wormadam, which is a much needed power boost for us and should help us a lot with Gardenia. Plus, I worked out that its hidden power is a high base power grass type hidden power, which is actually pretty good. As we grind here and take advantage of Cheryl healing our Pokemon every encounter, I guess I want to talk about how far I think we will get in this run. See, we're 2 gyms away from the next Barry fight, where he has Monferno with Flame Wheel and leads with a Staravia which has Intimidate. There is a high chance that this or another Barry fight is where the video ends, because his team is just really good against grass types. I might have even said this before. Our best move to hit fire types right now is Bite from Grottle, which, that ain't it, Chief. That ain't it at all against a fighting fire type. But let's stop complaining and let's go to the Gardenia fight, since nothing really happens between then and now. Good! Now I can complain about this fight instead. Yay! This fight isn't actually that difficult. The plan's to lead Wormadam, Stomp Turtwig, then wear down Roserade and eventually win. The problem was paralysis. I sped this fight up, and you can see it in the background, but let me fucking tell you how annoying this was. There's a 25% chance, if you're paralyzed, to not move. But, out of the 8 turns against Roserade, I was paralyzed for 6 of them, giving me a 75% chance of not moving. And against Cherrim, I was paralyzed 9 times out of the 17 turns, which is 52.9%. So adding it all together, I was paralyzed for 60% of the possible turns. Insane. That's awful paralysis maths. But hey, I won. Speaking of winning, we have to play against Jupiter. And Jupiter is pretty tough because their Skuntank resists most of our moves. So in order to actually win this, I had to paralyze the Zubat, which does over 50% to Walt Whitman, which is a bit surprising, and then go into Grottle. And then just hope it gets paralyzed enough for me to get off a couple of curses. I managed to get off 2, and it's paralyzed every time. And at this point I'm like, okay, that's enough. I bite it. It's an OHKO. Now, against Skuntank, I've only got Dark moves and Grass moves, so I just need to kind of hope I can beat it with +2 attack, +2 defense. And I'm doing pretty well here,
the citrus berry heals a lot, but then the Night Slash crits, I'm at 6 HP, and this is dangerous. So at this point I have to go into Wormadam, and Wormadam takes a decent amount from Night Slash, a decent amount again, and this is really scary. And at this point I have to either just accept I lose if they crit, or attack and hope it's a good roll. Actually, it could be a roll. But I just attack and I live and everything's good. Even the random, she's not a grunt, but the easy admins are giving me a difficult time here. I think it's pretty obvious that grass is a type that's going to struggle a lot in Platinum.
And here's me accidentally fighting a trainer with a Stravia, which I absolutely shouldn't have done. And look at that. I missed a Leech Seed and had to rely on the RNG of random selected moves to beat this Pokemon. This really doesn't bode well. That berry-shaped shadow in the distance is quickly approaching. But on the bright side, Cherubi evolved into Cherum. Yay! I guess for this point of the game its stats aren't too bad, so we can get some usage out of it, and maybe we can do some fun things with Flower Gift later on, who knows. We make it to Hearthhome without any more delays, and this is where we get another member of our team. It's Eevee! Well, it's going to become Leafeon very soon. I name it Oscar Wilde, and I zip on over to the forest in order to level it up near the mossy rock and evolve it into Leafeon. This Eevee's nature is modest, which is really bad for us, because Leafeon's good stats are attack, and defense, and speed. Specifically attack, it's got the highest attack of any Pokemon that we have, and it's got access to Swords Dance, so it can hit like a truck, and with 95 base speed, that's going to be our fastest Pokemon. So I really think it's going to be an incredible mon for us, even with this minus attack plus special attack nature. I don't think Leafeon's going to be much help against our next fight though, which is Fantina, the Ghost-type gym leader. Her Pokemon are very good. Specifically the Mismagius, which hits like a truck and moves about as fast as one, which is, look, pretty fast at this point. She is going to be a difficult fight, and a lot of our Pokemon aren't going to be great in there, but I've got some ideas. The first thing I do is be a little bit cheeky with my EXP grind. See, we need to be level 27 as the level cap, however, we can be as close to level 28 as we want to be. So I'm going to get all of my Pokemon to the point where if they just take out one Pokemon, they'll get to level 28, meaning we can be basically as strong as possible for her Mismagius at last. And I think we're going to have to win via some cursing. So let's get this fucking shit out of the road and beat this motherfucker. So it's time to fight Fantina, and this is going to be, as I said before, tough. We're going to lead Walt Whitman as they lead Duskull, and we're going to just punch it in the face as hard as possible. We get Will-O-Wisp, but that's fine. We Giga Drain turn 2, we beat it, we level up to level 28. And we learn Toxic Spikes, which I replace over Leech Seed. I'd like to keep Leech Seed, but Toxic Spikes is so good that we just need to get rid of it, unfortunately. The cheeky XP gaining biting me on the arse a little bit, huh? But that's okay. Then, at this point, they bring in Haunter, so we're going to click Stun Spore just to weaken it a little bit, okay? And then we're going to click Giga Drain because I don't think Rosa Ely is ever coming in. And we get a crit, which is really good. So it's crit, and it is paralyzed, but we're confused and burnt, so we're going to switch out to Libao. We try to Leech Seed, we miss, and there's a Hypnosis. We're just going to sleep as we get confused. And we're just going to keep clicking Leech Seed until we wake up and we manage to hit it through the confusion. Everything's good. At this point, we're going to go into our ace, our Edgar Allan Poe. The Groddle, we get put to sleep again, which is annoying, but we're just going to keep on clicking Curse as we're Confuse Raid, and we're going to hope we can break through it. This fucking Haunter, though, never getting paralyzed. Meanwhile, me in the last fight all the time. Regardless, we're going to eventually wake up and eventually start clicking some curses. At some point, I hope. Okay, there we go. And then we actually only click one curse, but we decide to just absorb the Haunter because we do not want to be confused or put to sleep again. But now we're at level 28, we're at +1 attack, +1 defense,
We're going to use Bite. It's super effective. Shadow Ball owns us, but Bite, crit, it's gone. The crit likely mattered, but I think we could probably have still scraped out a victory. Whew. That's good. Scary, but good. Yeah, I'm pretty glad we won there. But now the real trouble begins, because now we need to fight Barry with his fucking team. A lead of Staravia with Intimidate, with Monferno. This is going to be a tough one. But I've got a plan for Barry. It's going to involve us teaching Return to Leafeon, and then a lot of bike riding. Riding to one side of Hearthhome, then the other. And this is so engaging as we just run until Leafeon loves us, and we boost the power of Return to maximum. Yeah. Advanced bike riding. This gets the people fucking going, yeah! But after our epic friendship grinding bike rides, it's time to fight Barry. Staravia leads, and we lead Li Bao. Why? Because its stats are okay, and it's got Pedal Dance, which is our strongest attack. And Staravia always clicks Double Team, I think. So we can just Pedal Dance, hit it twice, and yeah. And we can also even hit Monferno with a Pedal Dance, do okay damage. Live a Flame Wheel. We get burnt, which is rough, but then we can just go into Leafeon. We get Flame Wheeled, but we live that easily, and we can click Return, and Return is going to almost defeat it. We're in low health, but we can click Quick Attack to outspeed its Muck Punch, and it's done. So that's nice. They've still got a Roselia, but I think at this point we can probably just finish it with our Pokemon. We go to Wormadam, and the Stun Spore, that's annoying. Hopefully we don't get paralyzed over and over again. Poison Sting does a decent... Oh, we get the paralysis. This isn't good. This is not good. But the Confusion, it does an okay amount. This isn't looking good. Why? How come I'm the only one that gets paralyzed in this game? But we get a Stroke of Good Luck, and it gets confused, and it hits itself in confusion. That's really good. We level up, and I think at this point we've only got Buizel left, and any one of our Pokemon can take Buizel. There's the Pursuit. We managed to hit the Hidden Power Grass, and it's over. And we've managed to beat Barry. Thank God. I was really worried we'd lose to the first serious Barry fight, but don't you worry, Barry fans. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there. There's going to be a lot more Barry in this run, and every fight's just going to get more and more difficult. Yay! With Barry defeated, we can move on to Veilstone City, with Maylene as the next gym leader, and as we're getting ready for her, Grottle evolves into Torterra and learns Earthquake. That is a very big power increase for Torterra, because now it has incredible stats, and Earthquake's a strong move. How big is this change? Well, let's just look at this Maylene fight, and, that's one knockout to Earthquake. That's a second knockout to Earthquake, taking out Lucario in one hit. And we also Earthquake Machoke into the ground. So that's our easiest fight by far. Torterra is kinda broken this early, let's be real here. Now at this point in our run, it's time for our next Pokemon, and really we've actually got 3 options for this Pokemon. Well, kinda. See, there are 3 grass types available in the Great Marsh, and tragically we can only get one of them. That is Tropius, Carnivine, and Tangrowth. And I had to think pretty hard about which one I got. Even though it seems like an obvious Tangrowth since it's such a much better Pokemon, Tropius isn't actually a bad call here. The flying type is pretty useful.
for some key resistances into some types. Plus its special defense being good is actually unique for the Pokemon that we're going to have. Most of our Pokemon have much better defense, so there is Pokemon that it's going to be better into than Tangrowth. But ultimately, I decided to at least try to go for Tangela. Carnivine was never an option, I just don't need it, really. But we do get a Tangler in the Great Marsh, so that's pretty cool. This Tangler's name is Maya Angelou, and it is a Serious Nature Tangler, which is neutral stat gains, which is fine. What's not fine is its ability. We'd really like Chlorophyll to be able to set Sunny Day and then outspeed Pokemon, but we got Leaf Guard, which I think is the less likely one, and it's the much worse one. I honestly cannot think of an ability that's worse in Pokemon than Leaf Guard. Genuinely, I'm trying to think of it, and if you exclude the obvious downside ones like Slow Start and Truant, I really can't think of a worse one. It's an ability that's exclusive to grass types, which just prevents status ailments in the sun. It doesn't cure them, so it's a worse version of hydration, and grass types in the sun want to do damage because they will just die to fire moves. It's a really bad ability, but it's what we've got, and it's what we have to make do with, I guess. With Tangela added, we're going to revamp some movesets to teach Razor Leaf to Leafeor. The more I play this, the more I realize that the grass stabs Pokemon have are still really bad in Gen 4. Yeah, there's actual good grass type moves now, but they're all behind really high levels, or late game, or even post game move tutors and TMs. It's very annoying. But anyway, we also level up Tangela so it learns Ancient Power, and it becomes Tangrowth, and Tangrowth's a good Pokemon. Look at those stats. We can probably take on basically any physical attacker. We're probably not even going to be too KO'd by physical moves that are super effective with this crazy amount of bulk, and good offenses on both physical and special. It's really a good Pokemon. And it comes at a perfect time because we've got the second really difficult Barry fight, and he's acting as a roadblock between us and the next gym badge with Crash Awake. His team, once again, is very good into grass types, but Tangrowth might be enough to help tip the balance. And before the fight, I also teach it Earthquake, because I couldn't think of a better Pokemon to use it on, and I think it's going to be really important in this fight. But let's see how it goes. Just a little warning, if you guys hear a bell in the background, it's because my cat has now come in. But it's time to fight Barry. And, you know, Barry leads with the Staravia, but we are leading with Tangela. Well, Tangrowth, actually. Because we still have Ancient Power, and Ancient Power should be able to mess this up. Whilst it is going to double team, I think it always double teams turn 1. We Ancient Power, and it's done. That's good. And we are at -1 attack, but we have Earthquake. We can probably smash this one Inferno. It goes for Leer. And we'd probably kill without the -1 attack, but we're going to kill with the second one. Flame Wheel, even though we're at -1 defense, we still take it pretty well. We get burnt, but again, no risk of dying. Hey, Pushka. And now there's just Roselia and Weasel, so we kind of sort this here. Really just about positioning ourselves to get Torterra in, and then Torterra's going to finish this off with 2 Earthquakes. So that's all good. I'm playing with my cat at the moment, and I'm glad we could win. So now it's time for Crash Awake. Crash Awake is actually going to be more difficult than you'd imagine. Despite Grass's incredible matchup into water, he does have a Gyarados, which is neutral to grass types, and also some of his Pokemon do have access to ice moves in Ice Fang, so that Floatzel is going to be a bit of a menace. But let's see how we go as we're ready to fight him. Say what you will about Pokemon Platinum, but it really does give you a pretty steady stream of boss fights as we have to fight Crash Awake now. We lead with Lee Bao, our Cherum, and we click Leech Seed. Really, we're just trying to stall this Gyarados out because it's a very strong Pokemon. Leech Seed recovering most of the bite damage. I set the sun up here. Honestly, probably shouldn't have. Probably wasn't the best move. It probably wouldn't do much, but I just wanted the Spadef boost just in case. They keep biting. I click Magical Leaf, and that bite crit's pretty scary. So we have to switch out probably into Leafeon, I believe I go into. Yeah, Leafeon. Leafeon, right? Yes, Leafeon. Okay, that's the best option. It's actually kind of good that we got to switch out here, because then it'll be Leafeon into the last two Pokemon. We can click return to finish off Gyarados. That's all good. And in comes the big man on campus, Floatzel. Floatzel we have Razor Leaf for, but there's the Ice Fang that I talked about, the ice coverage, but we can Razor Leaf. Takes a decent amount of damage, Citrus heals it up, but 2 Razor Leafs is going to beat it. Ice Fang hurts, Razor Leaf doesn't hit. Oh, no, it does hit. It doesn't miss. And then in comes Quagsire. Now here I click Synthesis because I don't want to take any risks. We get a Yawn, and then instead of switching, I decided to take risks, and I get put to sleep by Yawn, and then I get Rock Tombed. But at the end of the day, I'm not losing to this Quagsire. Eventually, I will wake up. There we go. Razor Leaf, Quagsire is done. And that was... it was about what you'd expect. This is honestly one of the last easy fights in the game. We're gonna have a real Murderer's Row coming up. And it does really suck that we didn't get a Chlorophyll Tangler, because that's gonna make a lot of the fights coming up way more difficult. But it is what it is. Let's do what we do. But let's actually talk about sort of the hard fights that are coming up. Because there's a Barry fight coming up, but, you know, it's Platinum, there's always a goddamn Barry fight coming up in the distance. And as we've previously demonstrated, he's got a really good team. In fact, the next fight, all of his Pokemon are fully evolved. But we've also got Cyrus the Virus, the Team Galactic leader. Doesn't start off with a great team, but he's got a lot of flying types, so they're difficult. The ice type gym leader will be a bit of a problem. There's really a lot of issues building up, and it's not looking good for the team with how it's sort of composed. So, look, we're going to have to be in our best. We're going to try not to lose many Pokemon. We're going to have to really be smart with it. Again, not being able to just cheese with Chlorophyll sucks. And, like, motherfucker. Like, you're probably... Fuck! Oh, that sucks. I played around it too. Yeah, that sucks. Losing to the random Ice Fang crit is always the worst way to lose a Pokemon. Probably shouldn't have fought this trainer though, they're pretty tough. Ah, that sucks. Look, it's not the worst. There are definitely worse Pokemon to lose, but... Oh god. Because we can have, I think, 7 grass types in this entire run. So losing one's fine, we're still going to have a team of 6, but you know what this means? I'm fucking stuck with Cherrim the whole run! No! Sadness. Wormadam didn't offer that much, really. Like, the bug typing's unique, but not great, but just, I'm just gonna feel really sad while I show you all the Cyrus fight. It's pretty simple. I just spam return and quick attack with Leafeon, taking advantage of dumb Gen 4 AI to, well, not really dumb, but they like to go for can't miss and priority moves when they know they're going to Oko, or they know they're going to knock you out, so I could use that to just keep synthesizing and returning and beating Murkrow. Yeah, all his Pokemon are good into us, but they're all at their lowest form, so it doesn't really matter. And we eventually beat him, and that's that. But, I don't want to use Cherrim. I feel like I'm really coming at Cherrim right now, like really attacking it, but it's just, it's not good. But we go from Cyrus to Barry, and this is where the real Barry difficulty is. Barry's team has gotten bigger by 1, and all of his Pokemon have evolved. So I now have to contend with a Staraptor, an Infernape, a Floatzel, and a Roserade, as well as a Heracross. This is going to be a ridiculously tough fight, and genuinely, I think it might end here. I really do. I thought it might end here, until I thought about it, and looked at Barry's moveset. and I realized something very important. His team is very physically orientated at this point, so we can take advantage of that. We lead Li Bao, and we're going to click Leech Seed on Staraptor. Staraptor always clicks Double Team turn 1, and its flying type move is Aerial Ace, only 60 base power. So we can go into Torterra here, which has exceptional defense, and it's being healing passively through Leech Seed, meaning it's probably not going to be a 3-hit KO. What that means is we can survive a couple of Aerial Aces, get off a Curse, and then via Leech Seed and Synthesis, just really curse and boost ourselves up, as Aerial Ace does less and less damage each time. I think this is the winner, and, well, I mean, spoiler warning, that's what it does. It was risky to do this, because if there was a crit, we were in trouble, but I think it was probably just the best and most likely way we were going to beat Barry. As you can see here, we really just synthesize up, and Leech Seed is doing a lot of damage. I don't even know if I'm actually inevitably going to have to attack Staraptor here, but if you look at Barry's team, it's all physical attacks all across the park except for Roserade. So this is one that's going to work against this fight. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work against many fights after this. Curse lowering your speed really does hurt Torterra, which doesn't have great special defense. It's got okay special defense, not great. And being really slow is just... It's not good. You want to hit things, not get hit. But then when they go into Heracross, and we can click an Earthquake. Aerial Ace does nothing at this point, and Earthquake Okos. There we go. And we Oko every single other Pokemon. Infernape, Floatzel, Roserade, they're all gone. I'm just happy we won. I was really worried about this fight, and I'm glad we managed to squeak it out. But there is another Barry fight coming up, because there will always be another Barry fight coming up. And unfortunately, I don't think this tactic will work against the last Barry fight, but oh well. There is a lot of time between now and that fight though, because we've got 2 gym leaders, and a lot of Team Galactic stuff. Speaking of gym leaders though, next we're gonna fight Byron. And beating Byron was easy. We just clicked Earthquake a couple of times, and all of his Pokemon died. We clicked Synthesis a little bit just to dance around any Metal Burst surprise kills, but that was it. Byron was done, his team's bad, and he should feel bad. But now that we've beat Byron, we can go into the Iron Island. We can pick up the Shiny Stone, which we use to evolve Roselia into Roserade. Roserade should be the god-damned icon for this channel, because she's iconic. I actually really like Roserade, it's a great Pokemon. It's a huge power increase on Roselia, and a huge speed increase as well. And, importantly, it learns Weather Ball, which is something that's going to combine really well with our next Pokemon. Speaking of our next Pokemon, that's what's coming up. We head north through Mount Coronet, up to the snowy part of Sinnoh, and we can catch our next Pokemon, Snova. And Snova is an interesting Pokemon. It evolves into Abomasnow pretty quickly, which is neat, but even Abomasnow has kind of mediocre stats. It's got okay offenses, but nothing to write home about in any stat, and it's pretty slow. It is a unique Ice and Grass typing, which is pretty cool, and its ability Snow Warning summons Hail when it hits the battlefield, which, you know, to be honest, hurts more than it helps. Like, it makes Blizzard unable to miss, and the chip on enemy Pokemon's nice, but we get chipped as well, and it also means that Synthesis, which is on, like, most of my team at this point, only heals by 25%, and we can't clear it unless we manually set Sun. But regardless, this Snova has a relaxed nature, which means more defense, less speed, which is like, that's fine. Again, that's not a speedster at all, so the defense is good. And we name him Clement CM. As I've said before, it evolves pretty early. By the time it catches up to the team in levels, it'll be an Abomasnow. And look, the Ice typing, look, it's a bad defensive typing, but it's a really good offensive typing. Whilst it does give a lot of weaknesses, it does give itself a very particular neutrality in Ice. So that's pretty good. And also, we've got an Ice Gym coming up, so I think it's going to be pretty important there. And speaking of this ice gym with canned ice, get it? Ice? God damn, the Gen 4 gym leader names are tripe. But it's gonna be difficult. I've got a lot of good Pokemon and a lot of strong Pokemon, and that Frostlass's Blizzard is going to absolutely rip through my team, and a Abomasnow can only do so much. It cannot take on every single one of these Pokemon. So, how am I gonna win? Honestly, I'm not sure. See, if I had Chlorophyll on Tangrowth, I could actually use that pretty effectively here, because it would outspeed everything and just be able to hit everything really hard and probably do pretty well. And then, you know, I could probably just sort of finish everything off with a Abomasnow after that, but that's not on the table because I got fucking Leaf Guard. But eventually, I came up with a plan. And, well, I think it'll work? Let's get into it. And there's a couple of parts to my plan. Part 1 involves grinding for berries by changing the day-night cycle and going to this house here, just to get a type resist berry every day. And Part 2 is exploring the underground, because we are really going to need a lot of heart scales and a lot of shards in order to beat this fight, as well as a bunch of others coming up, because our movesets are going to have to change a lot for every single major fight. See, this is the point in my run where I actually did something that I haven't done before in any Nuzlocke run, and I found the exact stats of every single NPC's Pokemon. So their nature, their IVs, all of that. So whilst I've been grinding, I've been trying to maximize my EVs and get my stats to certain values, just in order to hit specific ranges and beat specific Pokemon. This is how much preparation I'm putting into this, and it's really going to pay off. And Part 3 involves a lot of moveset overhaul. Here I am, the Snow Point City Gym, ready to start the fight, and look at this moveset on Leafeon as I teach it Swords Dance. Return, Natural Gift, Substitute, Swords Dance. This is a baroque fucking moveset of only normal type attacks against a team that has a Frostlass, but just you wait. I've got a great idea here. So it's time to fight Candice. And, well, look, if this pays off, I don't want to say I'm a genius, but no, I do want to say I'm a genius. I'm a goddamn genius. I lead with Walt Whitman and I click Stun Spore, but Sneasel gets poisoned, which is like good and bad, you know. Regardless, I just need to switch out, which I do, and I go into Lee Bow. And I've got to hope I don't get too KO'd by Aerial Ace, but based on the Roserade damage, I doubt I do, and I don't. So I can click Leech Seed here. So now Sneasel is going to be drained of its health, but I need to switch out big time. And that Sneasel is on a pretty intense clock. So I go into Oscar Wilde, I click Ice Shard, and it doesn't do that much at all. And that's important. See, I'm going to click Substitute and Swords Dance. I think I click Swords Dance first, because of how little this Sneasel is doing and how much I'm recovering from Leech Seed. I can really just abuse this, and Candice uses a Hyper Potion, which is great, so I can set up even more. You'll see it here as I click a second Swords Dance. Aerial Ace does not actually break the Substitute, which is incredible. So I can just continue to set up, as I think I click another Swords Dance again, second Ice Shard, that will break it, but that's fine. With the amount of health that we're recovering from Leech Seed, we're doing pretty well. It's going to take a while, and this Sneasel's going to die first, which I think it dies this turn. So we're going to click Substitute. It doesn't die this turn, but that's fine. It'll die the next turn. And we can click Return regardless. Now, we needed to be behind a Substitute for the next Pokemon that is coming out, and that is Frostlass. And it's really good that Frostlass comes out first, actually, so they haven't set Hail. I think it's because we've only used normal moves. They might just set out the Ghost type. We click Natural Gift, which, whilst it's a normal type, uses up our held item if it's a berry and turns it into a one-time damage output physical attack with the type of whatever berry it had, well, corresponding. And we had one of the rock resist berries, which is a rock type attack. So, yeah, we beat it. And as you can see, we O-code Piloswine with Return.
and we OHKO'd Abomasnow with Return. And we fucking did it. We beat the Ice-type gym with nothing but Oscar Wilde. Oh. I don't know if I explained it because I was pretty hyped, but yeah, Blizzard would have absolutely ruined us from max HP, so we needed to be behind a substitute with Oscar Wilde, otherwise we'd just lose. Thank God we pulled that off. Thank God that was pulled off. The Blizzard miss, I know that happened, but it really didn't matter. Whew. And honestly, I think we're going to have a lot of fights coming up with a really ridiculous strategy like that. But I'm just glad we won. What's coming up now is a whole lot of Team Galactic stuff. I'm preparing for the first Cyrus fight, but we have to clear out their warehouse corporation, I forget whatever it is. Then we climb up a mountain and we fight them, but truthfully, the most important stuff is that we've got 2 Cyrus fights coming up. And you can see us preparing. I got a lot of type resist berries. I've given a Cobra Berry to Roserade. And look, Cyrus has a very strong team. Even now, with only 3 Pokemon, his team is still pretty good. So we definitely do have to prep and we have to play pretty well. He monologues at us for a bit, which is, you know, nice. But yeah, look, I think this fight's going to be tough, but I'm going to be honest, I'm more worried for the next one. We'll talk about that one later, though. They have led Sneasel, we have led Clement to CM, and we can click Brick Break. And look, Brick Break is going to OHKO it. There you go. We don't take too much damage. And then in comes Crobat. Crobat, you know, we can hit it pretty hard with our ice moves. But they use Supersonic and we're confused. And then they use Air Cutter and it does a decent amount of damage. We're confused and we hurt ourselves again. So at this point we've got to switch. And we can switch in Roserade pretty freely because we do have the Cobra Berry that allows us to take a 1 flying hit neutrally when we're hit by it. But they missed the first Air Cutter, which is great. And then we absorb that, and then we use the really cute tactic that we've got of Weather Ball on Roserade whilst Hail is up to do an Ice attack. It doesn't OHKO the Crobat, but the Ice Hail finishes it off. And we OHKO the Honchkrow, and that's good. But the fight that I'm really worried about is the next Cyrus fight. Let me run you through his team as we just sort of grind and prepare for it. Houndoom, Crobat, Honchkrow, Gyarados, Weavile. Every single one of those Pokemon are first of all like, look, at worst pretty good, at best amazing. Second of all, 3 of them resist grass-type moves. And third, most importantly of all, 4 of them have super effective attacks into our team. Technically they all do, because Gyarados is also a flying type, it just doesn't get any flying moves. This team is a menace, this team is disgusting, this team is ridiculously strong. I don't know how I'm gonna beat this. Like, as I'm recording right now, I do not know how I'm gonna beat this, so yeah, let's give it our all as we try to figure out, like, what am I gonna do? In my attempts to prepare for Cyrus, one of the things I did was I started specifically EV training a lot. And one of those was EV training speed on Roserade. I quickly realized this was a mistake and abandoned that, and you'll see why in a second, but we'll get to that. We will goddamn get to that. Genuinely, this is, on paper, the most impossible fight I think I've ever done in any Nuzlocke run? I think so. I think, like, this isn't hyperbole. This is ridiculous. This is going to be harder than Flint. Because the Mon quality is so high, and the Pokemon speeds are so fast. I'm really worried about this. But before we do it, here's our team. We have Abomasnow, Leafeon, Tangrowth, Roserade, and Torterra. We did not bring Lee Bow because we need B-Barrel to get HMs, and every single berry you see is probably going to be important. But that's enough moaning, that's enough complaining. We have literally gone through the fires of hell to fight Cyrus, here to stop him. With this all-grass team, can we do the hardest fight I've ever done in Pokemon. Let's find out. We are going to stop Cyrus. Let's positive thinking. Cyrus leads with Houndoom, which can destroy all of my Pokemon, and I've led the quad weak Abomasnow. This seems like a mistake, but trust me, it's not. Because I bring in Leafeon, the Flamethrower, but the Occa Berry makes it a neutral hit, and it does over 50% anyway. We would have fucking died if we didn't have the Occa Berry. But now we can outspeed it and use Dig. It takes 2 turns of Hail, and then we dig it, and it's gone. That's really good. Okay, so what's next? It's Crobat. Crobat is faster than us and has Air Slash to beat us, so we go into Roserade. And look at that, the Cobra Berry means that it is once again a neutral attack. And we can survive the second Air Slash because of that Cobra Berry. Click Weather Ball, and Crobat is gone. And that's huge. That is huge. Because in comes Honchkrow, and we can Weather Ball the Honchkrow, and it's gone too. He is now down 3 Pokemon and has 2 left, and we haven't lost a single one. This is really good stuff. They go into Weavile, so we go into... okay, look, peek behind the curtain, they were supposed to be Abomasnow. I accidentally went into Tangrowth. That was a mistake. That's going to cost me a lot. This might stuff me. I go into Abomasnow now, take an Ice Punch, it's a lot of damage, that's not great. And I click Brick Break, they X's up it again, a third berry, to make that Bug-type attack neutral. I forget what the name of the Bug-type berry is called, but Brick Break, it's gone, and they've only got Gyarados left. We get intimidated, which sucks, but we're just going to Ice Punch until we need to switch out. We Ice Punch, and we get a lucky crit. That's really good, because they're going to be forced to use our Full Restore, so we can get another Ice Punch in. It's going well. And there's a freeze. Holy crap, I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win. An Ice Punch crit, and we've fucking done it. We've won. Holy crap, that was... Oh, we beat Cyrus. Except, you've looked at the runtime and you know this video doesn't have that much longer left. Because you see, I was lying. We didn't beat Cyrus. That was about my 8th or 9th attempt at him. See, I had the same strategy the whole time. This strategy just fucking sucks. You can probably see the failed attempts on screen now, but I'm going to run you through everything that can go wrong here, because there's so much that can go wrong here. If any of his Pokemon crit at any point here, it's over. I've lost. I just can't win. If Houndoom burns Leafeon, it's over. If Leafeon doesn't get a good range on Dig, it's over. If Roserade gets flinched by Air Slash, which it is pretty likely to do, it's over. If Weavile crits Exeggutor, I'm in a pretty bad situation. And I got really lucky against that Gyarados. With average luck, if everything goes perfectly, we're going to have half an Abomasnow and a Tangrowth to face it. And with his full restores, it can just win. There is so little we can do here. And I really thought about this. I thought about this a lot. And I couldn't think of a better strategy to beat him. And there's a couple of reasons for that. But this is the part of the video where I get really fucking petty and just gripe about a few things. So I'm going to do that. You see, I looked this run up on YouTube because I can't figure out a better way of doing this, so I'm looking it up. I did, and I looked at the first couple of videos. And all the fucking videos, man. It was disheartening. And you know what? I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so what I've done here is I've uploaded my Pokemon stats and Cyrus's Pokemon stats, so, you know, their level, their IVs, their EVs, their movesets into the Pokemon calculator, as you can see here. And really, we're just going to use those two to sort of show the problems with this fight and how I found people online solving these problems. So, if you look here, the big issue we have with our team is, well, by team I mean game plan, is that Crobat, it's got a naive nature, so that's plus speed. That makes this 151 speed very awkward. Look at the Roserade that we had, and I've messed up the IVs. That's not what the actual IVs of my Roserade are. But it's like 20 something. Regardless, we've got the nature right, that sort of thing. And you can see 230 in speed. And that's because I EV grinded in speed specifically to try to outspeed this Crobat before I realized it was impossible. You looky here, 252, 31 IV, that is not enough to outspeed Crobat. And being faster than Crobat really would help this fight, because then we wouldn't have to take that second attack, we wouldn't really need to run a Cobra Berry, we wouldn't have to risk the flinch, and we'd have a much higher health Roserade that could really help us out later. It takes away a lot of the RNG and just really solidifies this. But in order to outspeed the Crobat, we need to be timid with, I think the number is 25. Did I get that right in the first try? I did. 25 speed IVs, and that's how much you need to beat the Crobat. And I have seen people use a very similar strategy to what I did, but they just outsped Crobat with their Roserade. That's like the first way I saw people beat this. I actually did see some YouTuber, and I'm not going to mention their name, but they caught a Budew, which was serious, and that same Budew proceeded to outspeed this Crobat, which is, I'd like to point out, if you look at the nature, impossible. So, you know, that was fun. That's me being petty, I shouldn't say that, but oh well. The second way I saw people beat this is by having their Abomasnow naturally outspeed the Houndoom. Now, that is something that is a lot more likely and a lot more achievable. Whilst our Abomasnow doesn't have much speed in it at all, it does have a minor speed nature. So if you make this neutral here, you make this 31, make it 252, that's quite possible. I think the speed IV number you need is 27? 26? 25? 26. You need 26 speed IVs, and if you max EV train Abomasnow, it will outspeed Houndoom. And then you would teach it Earthquake, because that's what people did, and presumably you put some in attack, that'd kill it as well, likely. Likely. Although again, you do need a decent amount in attack. So that's the other way I've seen people do it, but that's also not exactly reliable, because you either need 26 base IVs, or you need, and if you're going a plus speed nature, let's go Jolly for example, you need like 7? Yeah, 7. You need 7 speed IVs plus speed 252 to be able to outspeed it. And that's not, it's not that likely, especially since if you have like a minus attack one, you're really training a lot of consistency, unless you once again max IV train or EV train your Abomasnow. But that's really tedious to do, and at the end of the day, this is kinda why I don't want to do it, because every successful attempt of this run I saw just had people that either had really good luck with their encounters, or they just changed the nature of their encounters and it didn't matter. And that's kind of why I don't think this challenge is worth it, because I need to rely on getting these good Pokemon. I need to rely on getting a good Roserade, or I need to rely on getting a good Abomasnow. And I don't believe, in the spirit of the challenge of resetting to get a good one, I don't think that's the correct thing we should be doing. So I'd have to just do this run over and over and over again until I get the Pokemon that I need to do this fight. And that's just this fight. I might need to do some other crazy stuff, because Barry's coming up, the last Barry fight, and that's really tough. The Elite Four Fire-type Gym Leader is also ridiculous. There's just so many variables that I just think it's way too RNG reliant depending on the nature and the stats of your Pokemon, that it's just not really worth doing. So this is why I'm going to give up on this challenge. I don't want to proceed with it. I'm not starting again. I get that this might be a disappointing way to end it, but I kind of wanted to explain my thoughts on it and my experiences and what I want to get out of this challenge. I want it to be something that I can do with thinking, if I lose, I want to lose because it's my mistakes. And like, I definitely could have made better mistakes here. I could have done more EV training, but at a point, it's just a bit too much, and I think this hits that point. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and I'll see you guys next time. Remember to like, share, subscribe, validate my existence, retweet, reblog, send this to your local member of council, hack your neighbor's computer or something and just play this on a loop. Pay for advertising in Times Square and just play this video over and over again. And I'll see you all next time.